Praise the Lord. Welcome to Bible Prophecy Forum. My name is Evangelist Seth OMONDI Olale. Today I want to talk about household witchcraft. Household witchcraft is a reality. Household witchcraft involves familiar spirits. These are demons and evil spirits that run through family and bloodlines of relatives that come from the same clan. And household witchcraft operates within families. These are demons that have studied families for generations. And as I told you before, witchcraft involves three elements. It involves intimidation, manipulation, and domination. And also another strong element of witchcraft involves the spirit of jealousy and the spirit of envy, which can lead to murder and other acts of violence which involves witchcraft. So, speaking from my own experience in our family, uh, my my grandparents, they were men of God, both on my father's side and on my mother's side. And as we grew up, I later became a born-again Christian in 1988, and our family was blessed. As I've told you before, my dad used to work with Telecom. He was a senior internal auditor with Telecom Kenya, or Kenya Post and Telecommunications. And my mom worked with the Central Bank of Kenya for 18 years. And God blessed them abundantly. They started life very simple. My parents used to live in Kaloleni in Nairobi. It was a single bed sitter where they used to live together with my uncles, because my uncles were still young and they were jobless. And from Kaloleni, they went to Isili, and that is where I started my education in the around 1973 there. 1973, when I joined St. Teresa's Boys Secondary School at Isili with my late brother Stephen Osewe Olale. And we were 5 boys, we were 6 boys and 1 girl. And God blessed my parents with good jobs, and they started buying property in Nairobi. My parents' first house was the first house my dad bought was in Buruburu, phase 2, house number 443, just behind Buruburu police station. It is a second court. And it was a 3-bedroom house, and we moved to Buruburu in 1975. And then that time I was a student at St. Teresa's. I did my exams, went to Form 1 at Narok High School, but because of tribalism and bullying, I was transferred to Upper Hill, where I joined Upper Hills School in 1982, and to me it was paradise, because it was a nice place, good lunch. We used to take chips and sausages twice a week, plus juice, and I used to be given enough pocket money, 120 shillings every day. That time it was a lot of money. In 1982, it was a lot of money. And even my brother Steve was at Highway, and my other brother Joseph was at Aquinas, and my other brother Tyrus was schooling at. He later joined Isili Secondary School, and also my late brother joined Highway. So all my uncles were born in Nairobi in the 1930s and 40s, and even my own grandmother was born and raised in Nairobi in 1916, because my great-grandfather was a policeman with Kenya African Rifles. So my grandmother, the mother of my father, was born in Nairobi, and even my late grandfather, Seth Olale, he was raised in Nairobi. He was raised in Kisumu. He was an orphan in Kisumu, working for an Indian, because he was a street boy, and he ended up working for an Indian as a street boy in Kisumu after he fled from his home, from their rural home in Uyoma. Because of violence, his parents were killed. So they became homeless, and my grandfather Seth Olale wandered the streets, and in Kisumu he was taken in by an Indian and employed as a houseboy. And then many years later, the same Indian brought him to Nairobi, took him to school at Kabete Native School. He learned carpentry and metal work. And then from there, my grandfather got a job with Kenya Railways. And that is how now our family started. My grandfather married my grandmother. And then in the early in the 20s, that's when my late uncle Enos was born, I believe in the late 1920s. And then later my father was born in 1938. So that is how they grew up, and my uncles followed up. So now, to cut a long story short, God blessed our family. My grandfather Seth Olale was a born-again Christian, and even his wife, Dina Oriso, they were born-again Christian. They were not perfect, but they loved the Lord. And even on my mother's side, Patroba Omoro was a born-again Christian, and even his wife. And these were families that were blessed, because Patroba Omoro, he was the business partner of Odede, Mzee Odede, who was the father of Pamela Mboya. And Pamela Mboya was the wife of the late great Kenyan politician and African nationalist, Tom Mboya. Tom Mboya and my uncles and my dad were friends. And even my uncle, Enos Olale, the late Enos Olale, who was an architect, was one of the people who used to campaign for Tom Mboya. And even Tom Mboya had gotten him a chance to go to study in America as a student in the universities. But my uncle Enos could not leave to go to America, because his young siblings were still jobless, and some of them were in school. So he sacrificed that opportunity to go to America. Later, he got his job, and then he continued with his career. And by God's grace, he was even able to send two of his sons to the United States of America, and all his sons graduated in the university, except the younger one, who was called Ben, and the last girl, who is called Diana. And both me and my brothers, my father was called Mark Olale, and my mom was called Perez. And we went to school, finished school. I joined Kenya Polytechnic. And as this year has passed, my parents bought the second house, 3-bedroom house in Pioneer Estate in 1984. And then they bought their fourth house in Langata. It was a 4-bedroom house with a servant's quarter and a guest house. They bought that house in 1988. And it is now when my parents bought this third property. That is when the enemy decided to use household witchcraft to fight our family. The people who are very close to us, my uncles, I will not mention their names, but there is one particular one and his wife. They decided to declare war on us together with my grandmother. And this really affected our family. There was a lot of witchcraft that was done. And we know they even went to consult witch doctors in Mombasa, in Kakamega, and even in Kenya, in Nairobi at Kawangware. And all this witchcraft was being done to destroy our family and the marriage of my mom and my dad. And they transferred the spirit of death from their family to our family. And my elder brother, who was called Steve, actually died prematurely, a very painful death. So, household witchcraft is something that is there. I saw it almost destroy our family, and my brother was sacrificed by close relatives. So, me, what I can tell you as born-again Christians, if you are watching this video, be very careful of your uncles and your aunties and your cousins. Those are the most powerful weapons of the devil in destroying families, according to me. The most powerful weapon that the devil uses to destroy families are number 1, uncles, number 2, aunties, and number 3, cousins. Those are the greatest weapons of the devil. Those are the people who are sent to steal blessings from family. They come to steal the wealth of family. They come to disinherit the children, their nephews and nieces when their parents die. So these are the things that happen in families, household witchcraft. The enemy, the Bible, Jesus said in John chapter 10, verse 10, that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Those are the 3 things the devil comes to do. And the devil will always use the people who are closest to you. And those are your brothers and sisters. He can use your wife. He can use your husband. He will also use your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law. And that will mean to others, it can be your uncle or your auntie. And at the same time, to your parents, it is your brother-in-law or your sister-in-law, or your own sister or your own brothers. The devil will use the people closest to you. The devil will not use strangers to destroy your family or your marriage or your business, or to steal your inheritance, which can be land, it can be a house, or it can be a business or a property that was given to you by your husband who has died, or by a business that you used to share with your wife, or it can even be a land or a business that was given to you by your children who have passed away or who have gone to live overseas. So me, I can say that household witchcraft is there. So what I can tell couples, do not disclose your secrets to your relatives, close relatives. And do not allow close relatives to live with you in the same house unless God has given you the permission, and unless those people are saved and they fear God. Do not allow relatives to come and live with you in the same house. Because some of these people, they have got the spirit of jealousy, envy, and some of them even have got bad behavior which they can pass to your children, especially young boys and young girls. There are many young boys and young girls who have been introduced to homosexuality, lesbianism by uncles or aunties or by their cousins. So this is not a time whereby you can just allow your children to go up country or to go and visit their uncle or their auntie or to go and interact with their cousins, especially if you are a family of born-again Christians. Be very careful who you allow to come close to your children. These are the end times, and you are living in the days of lawlessness. There are also some relatives who practice witchcraft. Uh, they can recruit your children into witchcraft. We know the case of Erika Mukisa, who was recruited into witchcraft by her own grandmother, who was staying with her. So these are the things that the enemy is doing. Please excuse me for the flashing light. We have just run out of electricity, and I'm using a rechargeable battery bulb. So I will not stop the video because I know this is the work of the enemy. But just hear the words and you'll be blessed. Just bear with me and God will bless you. So as I'm saying, be very careful of uncles and aunties, because me, the people who almost destroyed our family, there were uncles and aunties who were jealous. And then also my grandmother also had a big problem. She had great jealousy against my mom because my mom was working very hard, blessed with a good job and a great family, handsome sons and a beautiful daughter. And by the time my parents were retiring in 1995, my parents had bought 4 houses. 3 of those houses were 3-bedroom houses each. The first house was in Buruburu, phase 2, a 3-bedroom house they bought in 1976. And then the second house they bought was Pioneer Estate, a 3-bedroom house in 1984. And then their third house they bought in Langata, a 4-bedroom house and a servant's quarter with 1 bedroom and also a guest house. And it was in a posh area. That house now is worth it's worth a lot of money, in the millions. I can say it's over 30 million shillings. But that is my parents' property. Me, I don't look at my mom's property. I'm believing God for my own property. Those are my parents' property. Right now, my mom has got only 2 houses. The one in Langata and the 3-bedroom house in Imara, which my mom bought in 1995. So because of these properties that my parents had, the enemy used our relatives, uncles, and my grandmother, and they went into serious witchcraft, and they ended up sacrificing my own brother. Our own elder brother was sacrificed. Because how did we know that he was sacrificed? Because our own aunties who knew what was happening, they gave us this information. Because there was somebody who was supposed to die in our family, in one of my uncle's home. And now they went to the witch doctor so that the death could not happen in their home. They transferred that death of somebody who was very sick and in hospital, and they transferred it to my brother. This is what we were told, and we know it is what happened because they went to Kakamega, and immediately they came from Kakamega after seeing the witch doctor. That is when my brother died mysteriously. Up to now, we don't know whether it was a suicide or whether it was a murder. But it happened, and our brother was buried. And even my dad knew that it was a spirit of death that had been transferred from my uncle's house to our house. So me, I'm urging caution with uncles and aunties. Do not allow uncles to be very close to you. Do not allow cousins to be very close to you because some of them are using witchcraft. Even recently, we were told that one of our own cousins, she sent for somebody to go and take soil from our own home so that that soil could be brought to Nairobi so that she could use it for witchcraft. And this is somebody who is known to use witchcraft. Even if you go to her house, she has planted uh, satanic paraphernalia on her inside her home. So be very careful of aunties and uncles and cousins. Those are the people whom the devil will use to steal your blessings. They come and they switch your destinies and they leave you with the curses of their children, and then they carry the blessings and the destiny of your children, because every child is born with a star. Like my late brother was a very hardworking man, a hardworking young man. He was handsome. He was a sportsman. He was a captain of soccer in their school, high school, and he was intelligent. He was doing maths, chemistry, and biology in high school, and he was also the school captain, and he was also the best basketball player in their school at Kanuga. So this is a person who was supposed to be a medical doctor or a pilot or a great engineer, but he was sacrificed because of witchcraft, because somebody was supposed to die in, in our village. But now this person who was supposed to die, her, her parents rushed to the witch doctors in Kakamega, and they transferred that spirit of death to our home. These are things that my own mother told me, and we know it is true, and even our own auntie gave my mom all this information because she was privy. She knew exactly what was happening. So just know that even though you are a born-again Christian, there are people who use witchcraft and dark magic to destroy destinies. Some of these premature deaths that you see happening in homes, road accidents, premature death by sicknesses, it is witchcraft that is behind them. I was being told of one man who had killed all of his brothers, 10 of his brothers and sisters from one family. He had killed over 10 brothers and sisters and nephews, 11 of them from one family. But no, it took a woman of God who went and prayed for the final brother who was about to be sacrificed and was dying in hospital. She prayed for that man who was dying in hospital after they killed his wife. And then that man, God healed him because he had gotten a stroke when he was working at his workplace. And then when he recovered, the same uncle who had sacrificed 11 members of his family decided to visit him at Utawala. But the woman of God had prophesied and said that the moment the uncle was going to beat this man who was recovering from the hospital, that uncle who was into witchcraft was going to die. And when the uncle heard that he had come from hospital, and the uncle went to Utawala to go and see why this man had not died in hospital, when he entered that gate and their eyes met, that uncle of his who was into witchcraft and Illuminati, he actually died and fell on the floor, on the ground, and he died on the spot at Utawala. So witchcraft is real. Do not open your home to every relative. Do not open your business and your secrets to any family. Because me, that is how we saw blessings being stolen from our family. Our home was open to relatives. Right from the time we were young, people just used to come and visit us, aunties, uncles from both sides, everybody in our home, right from Buruburu to Pioneer Estate to Langata. People just used to come. They spend and they're hosted by my parents. And some of these people carried negative energy. They come, they look at you with bad eyes, and some of them even come and plant paraphernalia. And just their presence in your home brings demonic spirits, because some of them even used to practice witchcraft in secret. So they come, they steal blessings from your children, and then you start seeing your children struggling in their education, and the children of these people who are visiting you, they progress. Some of them even used to bring their children to live with us, and they ended up, these cousins of ours, they ended up even performing better than us in school. Why? Because they were distracting us from our education. The love that we were supposed to receive from our parents was now being diverted. Even the money that was supposed to be invested in our education, in the best schools, in the best college, was now being diverted by relatives. They were demanding help, and money was being channeled left and right. And this is how they messed our family. And the same thing happened to my wife. And this is the same thing their family went through when they were growing up, because their dad was working with Kenya Railways. Their dad was an engineer, and they were living very nicely at Upper Hill. But the relatives could not give them an opportunity to settle and educate their children. So this is how families are broken. Because my wife tells me that her dad was a very good and humble gentleman who loved the relatives. And by opening his home, the relatives, the aunties and cousins came, and they were always demanding for money, or being hosted, their children being hosted in their house, in Upper Hill, in Githurai. And this is how they stole the blessings of that family. And the same thing we went through is the same thing my wife Anne went through. And even when I've talked to other friends of mine whose parents were prominent in the government, they were messed by their aunties and uncles. I even spoke recently to a friend of mine who was called Pastor Carl, and his father was a prominent man in the government who used to work with the three presidents of Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta, and President Moi, and President Kibaki. His father was a prominent man in the government. But because of interference by relatives, the aunties, who came and messed their father and their mom, and even stole the house that their mother had, and the car that their mother had. Their own aunties, who was raised and helped by their late father, is the one who now came and stole and disinherited them. Me, even my own, our land in Homa Bay, we lost 3 acres because of one of our aunties who went behind our dad and started influencing our dad to sell that land illegally without my mom and me and our elder and my other brothers knowing. It was my own auntie who my dad and my mom had helped and employed. And even they got her into this family by introducing her to my late uncle. And she became a wife to my late uncle. And later my own dad got her a job. And they are the same people who messed our family. So be very careful of relatives. Keep away from relatives. They will mess your marriage. They'll mess your children. They'll steal blessings from you. They'll steal blessings from your children. They'll steal your stars. They'll steal your destiny. And they'll even use witchcraft to destroy you. So keep away from relatives. I wouldn't like what we went through as a family for anybody to go through. So be very careful of relatives. So God bless you and God keep you. Share this video with other friends and relatives. Be private. Don't share your secrets with relatives, and keep away from them. If you want to help them from a distance. But only allow those who are saved and very serious with the Lord to live with you in the same house. Otherwise, you can end up regretting for the rest of your life. And I'm not saying that you chase your relatives from your home, but exercise wisdom. If you're going to live with a relative who is jobless or who is poor, exercise wisdom and exercise due diligence. That a person who you are living with, be it a nephew or a relative, that they have been sent by God to you. Because some can even be sent by the devil. And after many years, when they have stolen the blessings of your children, and they are laughing at you, they are mocking at your children who are jobless, and them that time they are riding in big cars, and they are driving big cars, and they have bought property, and they have got big jobs. Because they switched the stars of your children through witchcraft, by interfering with your marriage, by negative energy, they stole your blessings, the blessings of your children, and then they left the curses of the curses of their children into your home, and then they carried away the blessing. This is what is happening in many African families, and we are not allowed to speak them. This is what happens. Because you find that people are born in prominent families, and when they open their doors to help poor people, there are same poor people who come and live with them and later progress in life, and the children of these prominent families, they end up struggling with poverty and joblessness, and their marriages are destroyed. Why? Because there was an exchange that happened. When you're hosting these people from up country, they come with their witchcraft, they deposit their witchcraft into your family, and then they carry all the blessings of your children and run away with them. This is what is happening all over, especially in Kenya, West Africa, and other African countries. Hosea chapter 4, Hosea chapter 6, verse 4, or I believe it's Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. God says, my people perish because they lack knowledge. So God's people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I remember there's a time we sat with my mom, and my mom was telling me that if she had known, she would not have opened her house to relatives. Because she was asking herself, how come all our cousins are doing well and our own children are struggling? That is what my mom was asking me. So now, after many years, when she's 80 years, that is when she was seeing these things. When she was 80, she's almost 80 years. She was telling me that if she had known, she would not have opened her house to relatives. Because how come her children are struggling, and most of these people, my cousins, whom my parents helped and opened our home, they're not doing well. It is because there was a satanic exchange of blessings. They come, they steal stars and destinies, and then they deposit their witchcraft and run away with the blessings. Because we know that some of these people, their parents were practicing witchcraft, going to herbalists to cut them and place herbal medicine on their backs and on their bodies. This is information I was being told by one of my cousins. How the mother took her to a herbalist and they were cutting incisions in his body. And these are the people we were living with in the same house. And later these people, they went abroad and they left us with poverty. So these things are real. These things are real. So just be careful with relatives. Be careful with relatives. Be careful with aunties. Be careful with uncles. Be careful with cousins. Those are the number one enemy that the devil will use to destroy your family, to steal the blessings from your home, to switch the blessings of your children. They steal the stars of your children, their destinies. Stars means destiny. They steal their destiny. When Jesus was born, there was a star that was shining in Bethlehem. And even God showed Joseph that his stars were going to shine. And he saw his brothers bowing before him, and he was shining like a star. And even God showed Abraham that his descendants were going to be as many as the stars of heaven. So stars means destiny of nations. So don't allow somebody to come into your home and steal the destiny of your children, the blessings of your children. Be careful. They switch blessings, they steal property, they steal businesses, they even poison others, and they can kill and take over properties and take over businesses. And these are relatives. It happens. So because you are born again Christian, don't be ignorant. Don't be gullible. The enemy is outside there, and the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So just be careful and pray and fast every day for your family. Pray and fast. Even if you are not with, pray and fast and pray in tongues every morning, early in the morning, and break those dreams. Every satanic dream that you see of a dead person, dead relative, funny monkey business in your dream, destroy it. Don't just ignore those dreams. Because they normally plan attacks through dreams. They come and plant satanic dreams, and when you don't take action through prayer, that dream will manifest. Whether it is premature death, or bad omen, or road accident, it will manifest. So be careful of the dreams you dream. So I'll just like to leave it there and share this video with others. So God bless you and God keep you. Those of you who would like to support this ministry, the details are at the bottom of the screen. So God bless you. Please share this video, subscribe, share, and like. God bless you and God keep you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.